All right, guys. So next up, we have Nathan from BTC Map. If you guys haven't used BTC Map yet, really cool. If you want to find out where you can spend your Bitcoin anywhere in the world, check out btcmap.org.com. btcmap.org. Nathan, over to you.
Hi everyone, thanks for the invite guys, for the organisation. It's great to come down here and actually see the sky. I'm from Manchester in the UK. I have not seen the sky for about 4 weeks now, so thank you for the opportunity to see the blue skies. Okay, I've got 20 minutes to talk about maps, so let's go. So our mission is threefold. Obviously to drive merchant adoption, which is why I and the team like talking at the Adopting Bitcoin conferences, because they're hyper-focused on circular economies, people actually doing the hard work and not LARPing about it. To enable those Bitcoin communities, whether they be meetups or full-blown circular economies, and ultimately to become irrelevant. So our job is done when you don't have to use BTC Map anymore. And you know that's a reality right now in Kenya with the Tando app, with the M-Pesa integration, but we've still got a way to go to make that a global reality. So at that point, maybe we just buy map.com and we become the map for the world for all sorts of things. Okay. So everyone knows about hodling. It's quite a big meme in the Bitcoin space. But I want to be talking a bit about speddening as well. So this is actually using our Bitcoin. It's there to be used. So I'm here to talk about why you can spend the best money that has ever been created. So I want to talk a little bit about opportunity costs. We all know about the 10,000 Bitcoin pizza, and there's talks earlier today around regret of spending Bitcoin in the past. I'm here to tell you that don't worry about it, because the opportunity cost of spending Bitcoin is exactly equal to the opportunity cost of holding that fiat. Once you fully understand that, then it relieves you of any regret you might have about spending Bitcoin in the past. And I just want to hammer that point home. So let's read it again. The opportunity cost of spending Bitcoin is the same as the opportunity cost of holding fiat. So if you were going to buy the thing anyway back in the day with fiat, it doesn't matter that you bought it with Bitcoin or fiat. You were going to spend that money anyway. Don't hold quite as tightly onto your Bitcoin for the things that you want to spend. And to make that even stronger, I think if you're not spending sats wherever possible, you are absolutely LARPing. Okay, let's talk about some laws and some anti-laws. Anyone know who this chap is? Anyone? No. This is Gresham, and you may have heard of Gresham's law, which says that bad money drives out good money. There's a little bit of detail behind that in terms of they were talking about commodity money and the commodity price of effectively money issued by the government. And that is to say that the lower cost commodity money gets pushed out of the economy, and so the higher cost, and the bad money is used because people want to get rid of that in effect. But don't worry, because everyone knows Newton's third laws of laws. For every law there is an anti-law. Anyone know who this guy is? This is a French economist called Thiers. And he said exactly the opposite. So he said that good money drives out bad money. So I think I'm on Team Thiers, and I think we can probably agree as Bitcoiners that that's true. Because bad money only exists when there is a monopoly on money. So if we have a free market for money, we the people, and we've heard that term quite frequently over the past 48 hours, we get to decide what's good and bad, and we don't have to have people inventing bullshit laws to explain why people are not acting in a rational way. I wanted to talk a bit about functions of money. This is a slide of mine from BTC Prague a couple of years back, where I was talking about how I thought as we move Bitcoin into hyper-Bitcoinization that we go through these functions of money in order. So store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account, in that order. I think I was wrong. It's not just me thinking about this. People have been thinking about this for hundreds of years. But having seen Bitcoin over the past couple of years through the lens of merchant adoption, I think this model is more appropriate around kind of the symbiosis of store of value and medium of exchange. So why is it a store of value? Why is a good money a store of value? And I'll caveat this slide with, we're talking about hard money here. We're talking about Bitcoin, obviously. But things store value if they are desired. So if people want them and are willing to swap something for them, i.e. a medium of exchange, then that's kind of a function of the value. And vice versa as well. So if it is in demand and it can be stored, then I think there's a feedback loop between these two concepts. And I think it's that like vortex of store of value, a medium of exchange that keeps going around. And then eventually we get to the point where that tends towards unit of account. So we all start thinking in sats at that point because of this symbiosis. So I think it's a bit more flexible than certainly I was talking about a couple of years back. Okay, I think this is the last guess of who is some ancient black and white character. Any ideas who this guy is? Any physicists in the room? No? Okay, this is Schrödinger, the cat murderer, and you may have heard of Schrödinger's cat. I think we've got a bit of a Schrödinger's adoption problem because at one level, more globally generally, there are not enough merchants and there's too many Bitcoiners. So I, as a Bitcoiner, do not have enough places to spend my Bitcoin. And so I'm often having to use other methods, fiat, to do that. But then if you zoom into certainly successful circular economies, we have not enough Bitcoiners spending the Bitcoin in those economies. If you take a sample within individual merchants, the amount of Bitcoin as a proportion of their total takings for the day will be a small percentage, even in some of these hotspots. So maybe too many merchants is a little bit strong, but you get the point in terms of not enough activity within those merchants. So how do we solve that? So we hope that BTC Map is a tool that helps us do that. So we really believe that we have to have merchant-led adoption rather than crazy Bitcoiners trying to orange pill merchants and yell at them to take our sats. We can do that as well because that's kind of fun, but we will really see the adoption of Bitcoin from a merchant perspective when people start to demand to be paid in Bitcoin. And this goes back to that point around Diaz's law, which is good money driving out bad money, because the merchants will demand the good money, because why would they want the bad money? And so I think it's going to be a real long road, but we'll move up this hierarchy here that you can see on the right-hand side, people getting up through to Bitcoin preferred, Bitcoin discounted in order to try and encourage merchants to spend people to spend Bitcoin, and we'll get to a point ultimately where they will just demand it because why wouldn't you? And you can see this throughout history. So Weimar Republic, as the Deutschmark was tanking, it didn't matter how many Deutschmark in the end you were coming in your wheelbarrow. It wasn't a good currency, and so they were accepting other forms of currency like grand pianos, right? So I think that's how we ultimately get to high levels of merchant adoption globally. It's going to take some time, though. Okay, so onto the map. So hopefully many of you are already familiar with BTC Map. So this is the standard view. This is a heat map view that we're working on at the moment, and that will become a layer on the main map over time. So it's really cool if you just look at the global picture to spot the hotspots of merchant adoption. So I'm going to walk you through some numbers, but before I do, I just wanted to very quickly go through the problem we're trying to solve, or hopefully have solved, and why the way in which we're solving it we think is working for us. So prior to BTC Map, there was no real well-maintained place to find places to spend Bitcoin. So there were often like Google Map local instances that different communities ran. There were some larger ones that were sponsored by like crypto exchanges, and so they were full of shitcoin adverts, and you kind of like needed to take a shower after you open the web page. And I think part of the reason was because maintaining these large data sets is very difficult, very time consuming, and that's why people were attempting to monetize it in order to fund the resources needed to do that. So what we did with BTC Map is obviously a Bitcoin only map. The software that we've developed across all of the backend and all of the different mobile apps and web apps is, of course, open source. But the key to its success, I think, is the open data side of things. So not only have we opened up all of the software, but we're using OpenStreetMaps, which for those of you who are not familiar with it, is a bit like Wikipedia for maps. And so that enables anybody to edit the world you see around you. And so what we did is we worked with some of the OSM moderators to bring in Bitcoin-related and Lightning-related tags, and then went through a huge process of data cleansing to get the data into a good shape. That was about 18 months ago now, maybe 2 years ago. And now we're in a position where we're slowly and surely adding merchants to the map. The other thing that we brought in, which I think really helps, is the community side of things. So not only do we have merchants on there, but we also have communities, and I'm going to talk about the numbers in a second. But what that means is the data ownership can be pushed down to the local communities. So it's not our data, it's kind of your data. So often when we have people complaining, like there was a merchant that was out of date or no longer accepting Bitcoin in their local neighborhood, we say, well, you know, we're providing you the tooling. It's your neighborhood, it's your data, so, you know, go fix it yourself. And so by decentralizing that process, we provide much more resilience and ownership for that data for those local communities. So the combination of those things mean that we can very quickly scale. So let's get into some of the numbers. So I often say the only two charts in Bitcoin that matter are the hash rate and the merchant adoption rate. And we're not quite as parabolic as the hash rate, but I'll take a nice linear increase. So last year, 2024, we had a 39% increase in the number of merchants listed on the map, which is great to see. We're now up to just over 14,000 merchants as of yesterday. And you can see across the board, about 55% of those are considered up to date. And I'll come on to a bit about that more later, but that means, has that been verified within the last 12 months? So we need to do some more work on empowering local communities to re-verify their own data so that we're not doing it as a central team. On the community side, we've currently got 442 communities around the world. We've also got a backlog right now of a couple of hundred that we're processing. So we'll probably get up to 600 communities. Some of those are meetups, and some are full-blown circular economies. So who's best? Well, we're going to define what best is. So this is using a very rudimentary algorithm on the website, so you can go to that URL and see the leaderboards for those communities. This takes into account the total number of merchants within those communities, and it also takes into account the average age of verification as well. So if you've got all of your merchants that have been verified within the last 12 months, then you're going to be 100% 5-star community, and then that's ranked on numbers. So is that ranked on numbers alone? No. So that's because they're all 100% up to date, and so currently the guys in Rolante in Brazil, we deem as being, quote, the best Bitcoin communities. But as these merchants are onboarded, then we can actually then start to talk about what is best. So is it merchants per capita? Is it merchants per square kilometer? Is it the mix of merchants? So for example, here in Cape Town, I'll come on to this in a second, you're actually quite high up on the number of merchants for a community, but they're all pick and pay, right? So that's great, and we'll take that as a win. But if you're looking to have a bit more diversity, we might want to start to bring in diversity measures as well in terms of different merchants. So restaurants, bars, hairdressers, whatever. Biggest communities by total number of merchants, regardless of verification. So this is just the raw numbers. We've got the Mi Primer guys, which is effectively San Salvador in El Salvador. Lugano in Switzerland with the Plan B stuff. Prague is up there as kind of a cypherpunk OG. They also have a similar approach to the Money Badger stuff with Pick and Pay, where you can use a companion app in the Czech Republic, and the merchants don't necessarily know that they are receiving a Bitcoin payment because they're getting cashed out in fiat without really knowing about it. So this is top 10 by community. Cape Town just missed out. So you guys who are local, you are number 11 with 88 merchants. And there's some stats there. So I think we got some work to do on merchants per capita here, but they're all pretty low. As an aside, Bitcoin Witsand, I don't know if we've got those guys in the room at the moment. But you retain your crown as the highest per capita merchant community in the world by some margin, like by an order of magnitude. Yeah. Okay, so let's get on to the country side of things. Again, this is using that up-to-date algorithm as well, so this is not raw numbers. So Costa Rica recently claimed first place. Not because they have the most, but because they've done a lot of work re-verifying merchants and working with the Bitcoin Jungle team to get that done. And one of our top contributors, Saunter, who works for Albi, does a lot of tagging on the side. And so he's really helped Costa Rica get up onto the podium there. Thailand is a real hotspot right now. We've seen a lot of merchant growth there. And down in Suriname as well. El Salvador would be right up there because they've got over 1,000 merchants listed, but they got some homework to do. So they've only got 81% verification at the moment. By raw numbers, Brazil are top of the table, and they have been consistently adding merchants through 2 or 3 different circular economies there over the past, I'd say, 18 months, 2 years. So there's something special going on over in Brazil. El Salvador, obviously. A few notes on Italy and Czech Republic. I already covered the Czech Republic, but Italy have got quite a OG Bitcoin population there. And in fact, I think the first circular economy was probably in the Alps of northern Italy, Bitcoin Valley, way before. We're talking back I don't know, 2013 or so. Okay, so that was just a quick run through of the numbers. I just wanted to finish on a couple of points. If you do not attend a local meetup or a community, because there isn't one, then please start one. Just go sit in a pub or a bar or a cafe or whatever on your own, and the Bitcoiners will come. It will happen. Somebody has to do it, and it could be you. Onboard merchants. So if you're anything like me, I always ask whenever I'm buying anything, especially when I know the answer will be no, is do you accept Bitcoin? Bitcoin or cash? And it just puts that thought in that person's mind that Bitcoin is possible. And then another person might come in a month's time and say the same thing. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should start looking at this Bitcoin thing. So just be loud and proud and talk about Bitcoin. If you want to help our projects out, devs are always welcome across all different stacks. But not everyone's a developer, but everyone can become a shadowy super tagger. So you can maintain your local data and use OpenStreetMaps to make sure that the Bitcoin merchants within your area are up to date and well tagged. That's super simple to do. We've got lots of guides on our website to help you do that. So please contact us if you need some help, and please take ownership of your local data. And then finally, just go and spend them. Spend your Bitcoin. That's why we have it. It's there to be used, not hodled only. Okay, thanks guys.